Welcome to the Canadian Beef Cattle Podcast, presented by the Beef Cattle Research Council, the most popular content from beefresearch.ca, available on the go. Before we get into this week's episode, a quick message from the BCRC. Cows with an ideal body condition score, 3.0, rebreed up to 30 days sooner than thin cows, which allows more cows to calve in the first 21-day cycle. This can add up to 42 pounds in calf weaning weight, since the calves born earlier in the season will be heavier at weaning time. Cows in ideal body condition also have pregnancy rates double those of cows in poor condition, have improved milk production, fewer cases of abortion and stillbirth, healthier calves, and have fewer instances of calving problems. Learn more about body condition scoring beef cattle at bodyconditionscoring.ca or clicking the link in the show notes. This episode is titled 11 Ways to Avoid Feed Waste This Winter. Harvesting, storing, and delivering a beef herd's winter rations are the largest expense for most operations. Even small improvements in a winter feed system can result in significant feed cost savings. Whether a winter feed system uses a silage bunk or pit, baled forage, or swath grazing, significant feed waste losses can happen. Spoilage, mold, trampling, and weather are just a few examples of how losses can occur. In addition to the expense of the feed lost, cow-calf operations can experience significant reproductive losses from spoiled or low-quality feed, such as cows failing to rebreed the following breeding season and poor calf performance. Feed testing can be the first step toward using stored feed efficiently. Once a plan is in place based on the feed test results, optimizing the consumption of the feed by limiting spoilage and wastage is a logical next step. How to limit silage waste. Reducing waste in silage starts in the field, says Les Holliday, PhD beef specialist at the PEI Department of Agriculture and Land. Here are Les's top tips to reduce silage waste. Use balers with knives. Les says coarse chopping allows for tighter packing of forage in the bale, resulting in less air and 10 to 15% higher density. Chopped grass in baled silage will also undergo a faster, more efficient fermentation than in regular baled silage. At feed out, cattle are able to access chopped silage more easily, resulting in higher intake and less waste. However, Les cautions if bales are too tight, it can hinder cattle from physically eating the forage and cause them to tire out. When wrapping silage bales in rows, ensure bales are consistent in size and shape. Wrapping bales that are the same size will reduce large air pockets that can form when bales are not consistent. He also strongly suggests if you're going to try to cut your costs anywhere, don't let it be your plastic. The plastic wrap around the silage bales creates a barrier from oxygen that is critical for good silage production. Without proper coverage, even a tiny hole, such as from rodents or barn cats, can lead to spoilage from mold. If storing chopped silage in a bunker system, packing density and a tight air seal is key. Les says higher packing density can be accomplished using a silage compaction roller, which can increase packing density as much as an additional 2 pounds of dry matter per cubic foot. Double seal bunks or use oxygen barriers. Double sealing or oxygen barrier plastic have shown positive results to reduce spoilage in bunks. Maintain a smooth silage bunk face to reduce secondary spoilage. An uneven bunk face caused by feed removal can result in a significant amount of air, oxygen infiltration, which wake up the microbes that begin to use up nutrients, such as sugars, silage acids, and proteins, which leads to the production of carbon dioxide, ammonia, and other gases. This can also lead to the growth of molds, yeasts, and certain pathogenic bacteria. How to reduce waste in dry hay. According to Dwayne McCartney, a retired forage beef systems research scientist at Lacombe, Alberta, limiting waste in dry hay also starts in the field. When cutting hay, set your mower on the widest setting. This will enable shorter drying time, lower respiration losses, higher sugar content, and more digestible energy. It also improves fermentation and reduces the likelihood of rain damage. When storing bales, arrange them to allow sufficient airflow. Where the bales touch, moisture can accumulate, which can lead to spoilage losses. Dwayne also suggests that bales are stored in a well-drained area. Assess any leftover hay and straw bales that may need to be rearranged to ensure there is adequate airspace around all the bales. Otherwise, the summer rain will creep into the bales and spoilage will result. When feeding forages in round bale feeders, ensure each cow has enough space at the feeder to reduce competition and minimize trampled feed. Dwayne says he has observed the least waste in tapered cone-style round bale feeders. Avoid feeding stored forages directly on the ground if possible. Whether it is chopped silage or round bales rolled onto snow, feed losses can range from 23 to 26%. Dwayne suggests a portable feed bunk can be a better option to reduce wasted feed. Swath grazing can be an effective method of feeding cattle, however, it requires planning to minimize feed waste. Dwayne suggests cattle be fenced into a small section that can be cleaned up ideally within 3 days. Not fencing off sections for swath grazing can result in an unbalanced diet and risk of acidosis. The accessibility of the swaths for the cattle may also need to be addressed. To open up areas in times of heavy snow, a tractor may be driven down the swath or a blade used to move snow off the swath. It is also important to provide adequate shelter, either through natural shelter or portable windbreaks, to prevent cattle from bedding down in the feed. Regardless of the style of winter feeding, continually working to reduce feed waste and minimize the loss of nutrients protects your farm's large investment in stored forage. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. You can find all relevant links and information at beefresearch.ca or in the show notes. The Beef Cattle Research Council is funded by the Canadian Beef Cattle Checkoff and strives for excellence in the production of Canadian beef, cattle, and forage through research, innovation, and extension. Tune in every Tuesday as the Canadian Beef Cattle Podcast delivers straightforward insights, expert information, and a wealth of practical knowledge for Canadian beef producers. Subscribe now.